You think you stopped wanting women. You didn't. You think something faded. It didn't. Nothing broke. That's exactly why it kept happening, without you ever deciding to let it in. One morning, without any clear reason, something felt slightly off, just misaligned. Your time didn't feel like yours anymore, and something in you started resisting it. A message you didn't feel like answering. A plan you agreed to without thinking. A small adjustment that didn't seem important. And at this age, that's where everything changes. It's not a loss of interest. It's a loss of tolerance for anything that slowly takes his life away. Most men don't stop chasing women. They stop chasing the version of themselves that keeps losing control around them. Why attention becomes expensive after 60? I didn't understand this at first. I thought attention was harmless at this age, even flattering. Until I watched it happen up close. There was a man I knew, Jackson, 67, retired engineer, quiet life, clean house, same morning routine for years. He didn't look like a man chasing anything. That's exactly why attention found him. A woman at a cafe, a short conversation that felt easy. She said she liked how calm he was. What she really meant was this: his life was easy to step into. At first, it felt light. A few messages, coffee once a week. Then something shifted. She started reaching out more often, until small check-ins became expected. Nothing feels forced in the beginning. That's why it becomes harder to say no. A dinner he didn't plan, a favor he didn't think about, a small expense that didn't seem important. And once it becomes normal, it stops asking. One evening he said something I won't forget. "I'm not tired of her. I'm tired of what comes with her." That's when it becomes clear. After 60, attention rarely comes alone. It comes with weight. And at this age, peace is not something you find. It's something you protect. The more stable your life is, the more people are drawn to it. Not to build with you, but to step into what you've already built. That's the part most men don't see. They think it's connection. What it becomes is obligation. Once a man feels that shift, he stops chasing attention. Not because he can't attract it, but because he finally understands it always takes more than it ever admits. If you've ever felt something slowly take more from your life than it ever gave back, take a second to like this. When his time stopped feeling like him. Many men didn't notice this until it was already happening. Victor, 71, former mechanic, same cafe, same corner table. He didn't talk much, but everything in his life had a place. Then he met someone. At first, nothing looked different, until his days quietly stopped being his. A morning he used to keep for himself, gone. A day that used to feel open, now planned around someone else. And suddenly, his free time looked like a calendar he never agreed to, but still had to follow. One week I didn't see him, then another. When he finally came back, he sat down, looked at the table, and said something quietly. "I don't know when my time stopped being mine." How many men realize this too late? Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And most of that waste doesn't look like loss. It looks like small agreements you never meant to keep. Freedom doesn't disappear. You trade it in small permissions until your peace starts shrinking without you noticing. It doesn't feel like loss. It feels like being needed. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because once his time starts orbiting someone else's life, he's already inside it, negotiating something he never chose. That's when he started stepping back, because he finally sees how easily his life stops being his. Carrying things that were never him. I didn't see this as a problem at first. I thought it was responsibility. Her name was Laura, warm, capable, always handling something. Her life wasn't messy, It was crowded, an ex who still called, 2 kids in high school, a mother who needed constant care. It felt like life quietly, willingly. At first it felt right. I stay a little longer than I planned, not because I have to, but because I choose to. I'm not stepping in anymore. I'm already expected. A problem comes up, and my name is already part of the solution. It doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like purpose. And that's why I stay longer than I should. But borrowed purpose always costs me something I won't get back. I started waking up already carrying things that had nothing to do with my own life. Tension that wasn't mine, but stayed with me anyway. I wasn't building anything. I was just paying the maintenance cost for a life that wasn't mine. So I stepped back, out of clarity. Because after 60, a man doesn't stop chasing because he's tired. He stops when he realizes some lives don't need a partner. They need support. And if he wasn't careful, he would have become that support without ever choosing it. When helping quietly became a role, many men didn't see this coming either, because it doesn't arrive as pressure, it arrives as usefulness. There was a man I knew, Harold, 73, retired, structured, lived alone for years. His life ran clean, no chaos, no rush. Then he met someone. She wasn't complicated. That's what made it easy. Something simple he could fix in minutes. Because a man like that doesn't chase attention. He responds to being needed. He's not helping anymore. He's managing. Things start showing up before he even asks why they're his to handle. One afternoon, I saw him check his phone. Every hour was filled, not with his life, with hers. I asked him one thing. When was the last time you had a day that was yours? He paused, scrolled again. Didn't answer, because after 60, a man doesn't become a caretaker overnight. He becomes one when usefulness replaces choice. It doesn't feel like being used. It feels like being relied on. And that's how it grows. A favor becomes a role, and the more roles you carry, the less peace you keep. Once you're in that role, you don't get asked anymore. You get scheduled like a dentist appointment you never booked. If you've ever looked at your day and felt like it wasn't yours anymore, leave a comment and just write time. That's when everything flips. When your days are full, but none of them are yours, you're not helping anymore. You're carrying, and that's where you stop chasing. Not because you don't care, but because you finally see how easily helping turns into something you can't step out of. When feeling alive was just distraction. This is where many men got it wrong. Life is finally steady, more space. It makes new feelings feel stronger than they are. Leonard, 68, recently retired. For the first time in years, his days belonged to him. He talked about things he had put off for decades. Travel, time with his grandson, projects he never had the time to start. Then he met someone. He said yes to things he used to think through, not his situation, his direction. Plans he once spoke about stopped coming up. His direction quietly changed. And when his days start circling, he's not building a life anymore. He's just reacting to something that feels good in the moment. One night he told me something honestly. I feel more alive than I have in years. Because after 60, intensity can feel like meaning. And that's where men get it wrong. What feels alive in the moment can quietly replace what matters long term. Leonard wasn't falling apart. He was drifting. And at this stage, drifting costs you more than you think. Because what you lose isn't money. It's the peace you spent years building. So many men slowly stop moving toward the life they once wanted. The kind of connection that actually works. Many men think stepping back means losing connection. It doesn't. Tim lived alone but never felt alone. He didn't avoid women. He just chose how close they could get. They didn't merge lives. They didn't rearrange anything. Epictetus once said, "Never say about anything, 'I have lost it,' but I have returned it. Because when two people understand this, they don't hold each other. They stand beside each other without trying to own what was never theirs. Some weeks they saw each other more. Other weeks, they didn't. Nothing had to be explained. If he left early, he left. If she was unavailable, she was. No quiet negotiations behind simple plans. And that's what made it work. After 60, connection stops being about access. It becomes about alignment. You don't need someone inside your routine. You need someone who can be close without disrupting it or taking space that was never offered. Because at this age, peace is no longer negotiable. Anything that disturbs it, no matter how attractive, stops being worth it. Time together isn't measured by how often. It's measured by how easy it is to keep your life intact. No need to account for your time. What fits your life doesn't ask you to prove anything. It just stays where you left it. That's what I found instead. Not distance, not detachment, just clarity. A kind of connection that doesn't take anything away from you. And anything that doesn't hold was never meant to stay in your life. At this age, nothing is unclear anymore. You've seen enough, you've lived enough. You've paid for enough mistakes to recognize the pattern before it finishes. That's why this isn't about avoiding women. And it's not about shutting yourself off from connection. It's about no longer chasing something that takes more than it gives. It's about protecting the peace you had to earn the hard way. And protecting it means saying no earlier, before it slowly becomes your life. Because every chapter of my life had already shown me the same truth in a different form. Time slips when you stop protecting it, and what feels exciting can quietly pull you away from what matters. It happens in pieces. Most men don't see it until it's already cost them, but you see it now, and that changes everything. Because after 60, the game is no longer about gaining more. It's about keeping what still works. Your time and your peace. You stop trying to be chosen. You start choosing what stays. If this made you see your own life a little clearer, take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe. This is Move or Die Stoic. Share this with a man who needs to hear it, and subscribe if you're done losing your time. And at this stage of life, the man who stops chasing is the man who finally has a life that feels like his own.